Hello, everybody. This is the way too early predictions for the NFL. For the schedules. I'm going through all the schedules, saying like which ones they would probably win and which ones they would probably lose. To my knowledge, right now. Let's see what's going on. So you see here, 16 Bengals. They win against the Jaguars and the Steelers, both home games for the Bengals. So you can see the highlighted in red games are loses. The ones highlighted in like a bright green are the wins. So let's get through this. Dolphins, I think, will win against the Bengals at home and win against the Chargers at home. Then the Chargers, I think, will win in Cincinnati against the Bengals, and then win against the Panthers at home, and then win against the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay, then win against the Jets, win against the Raiders, win against the Falcons. Those are all home games for the Chargers. And Jaguars, I think they will win against the Colts, Dolphins, Lions, Chargers, Packers, Steelers. So yeah, you can see that I think they're going to lose both Titans games. The Jaguars, I think, could be evenly matched against the rest of the AFC South potentially, but with the knowledge that I have now, which is very little, I think that they're going to be like on the lower end, kind of like slightly lower than the Colts. You'll see later. The Jets, I think, will have a rough time at the start and then close off decently. Like you can see the second half of the season, they go 5-3, which is pretty good, but I think they're going to start off kind of shaky. With the Colts, I think they're going to uh, do kind of okay, a little bit better than the Jaguars. You can see that they have 7 wins. You know, they lose both Texans games. They could probably win at home against the Texans, like in Indianapolis. Patriots, I have no idea what they're gonna look like, but based on what I know so far, this is what I think it's gonna look like. They could definitely lose against the 49ers. But I don't know. They could also maybe win against the Bills. I don't know. Steelers, I think they could do okay. They could win against the Ravens at home. I think that could happen. You can see right there. That's what I think will happen. The Raiders, they they have a chance of winning against the Chiefs. In Oakland. I mean, not it's not Oakland anymore. It's Las Vegas. But I don't know. The Chiefs look pretty tough. Browns, they they could win against the Ravens in Cleveland. Titans, here we have the Titans. Wow. They could win against the Broncos and they could win against the Bills. So they could win the AFC South, but I have them being second in the 6th seed. Broncos, they have a lot of games that could go either way, including like against the Patriots, against the Buccaneers, against the Chiefs in Denver, against the Titans, like those kinds of games. So, like, it's one of these schedules that could really either be having the team end up really good at the end of the season or be kind of on the lower end, like around the 15 or 14 mark. Now the Texans, they could easily win some of these games, and they could easily lose some of these games. Just like with the Broncos, this is one of those schedules where they could end up being one of the better teams or one of the worst teams. Now the Bills, same thing really. They have some pretty tough matchups, like against the Rams, against the Titans, against the Patriots, against the Broncos, against the Seahawks. I have them winning that one, which could happen. They could also lose against the Rams. They could win against the 49ers. Totally possible, but kind of unlikely, I think. Ravens. They could lose or win some of the games that they either lost or won. Like, they could win against the Chiefs in Baltimore. They could lose against the Eagles in Philadelphia. I don't know. They could lose in New England against the Patriots, Foxborough. Chiefs, I've at number one. They could win against the Buccaneers. They could win against the Saints. They could win against the Broncos. But I don't think they're going to go 16-0. That's just not very likely. Now, moving on to the NFC, I think that the only win that the Redskins get is against the Bengals. So, like, all these other teams, I think, are either good or at least decent enough to win against the Redskins. Now, the Lions, they win these games. They could be a little bit better. They could be even worse. But this is what I have them at so far. Again, this is way too early to predict anything accurately. So I changed up the Panthers from the last video. Like, last video I had them at like 6-10, I think. But I lowered them down to 5-11 after looking at the schedule. I realized that the numbers didn't really match up, so they're down at 14 because they have less divisional wins against the Falcons. So the Falcons, they could. With a lot of these teams, I don't know how good they're gonna be. I'll probably have to watch up to week 4 maybe to really make some accurate decisions. Not even then, like maybe midway through the season would be like the most accurate without it being like too obvious. But like, I don't know. Giants, they could be better, they could be worse. They could win against the Eagles in New York. They could win against like the Cardinals and the Browns, those kinds of teams. They could lose in Dallas against the Cowboys. They could lose against the Redskins in Washington D.C. Who knows? Cardinals, they could win some of these games that they're losing. They could win against the Eagles. Like, yeah, like Cowboys. Yeah, now that I'm looking at it again, I think that like the Cowboys and the Eagles could switch spots, but I don't know. Their schedules are kind of like the Broncos and the what was it? The Texans schedules. Like, they could either be really bad or like really good. I don't know. Packers, they could win some of these games. They could lose some of these games. Like in Tampa Bay, they could lose against the Buccaneers. And in Jacksonville, they could win against the Jaguars. These kinds of schedules, I mean, it's not as uh, varying as the others, but with the Packers, they could again be like lower on the ranks or higher. They could win the NFC North easily. Same with the Vikings. Like they barely missed the playoffs in my predictions, but they could easily get in there. Buccaneers, I don't know how good they're gonna be, so I try to be like kind of neutral, going towards the kind of good side. So I put them at 9-7 with them winning against some pretty good teams. Like I think they could win against the Chiefs and the Rams. But I also think that they could easily win against like the Packers or the Chargers. They could even win against like the Saints in uh or New Orleans. Rams, they could win against the Seahawks or the Cardinals. They could win against any of the teams that they lost to, but I don't think that they could go like 16-0. I think that putting them at 10-6 was a good decision, I think, because it's better than last year, but still not amazing. I don't think they're going to be amazing. They could make the Super Bowl, but I don't know. I don't see it happening at this point in time. Again, 49ers, you see their schedule. If they win against the Seahawks in Seattle in that one game in week 8, some things could very well change up in the playoffs. Like the Seahawks could like drop down to 5 and lose quickly, and instead of like making it to the second round and maybe even the conference championship. Bears at 4. Uh, I don't know about the Bears. I don't know. They could easily be like 6-10 or like 11-5. I don't know. But I'm hoping that they can do a bit better than last year at 9-7. It's a little bit better, but it's enough to get them a playoff spot. Eagles at 3. This is one of those schedules. They could easily switch spots with the Cowboys. It could happen. With what I know so far. Saints, they could lose some of these games. They could drop down to 7, and the Buccaneers will switch spots even. Like, they could lose to the Buccaneers in New Orleans. They could lose to the Packers. They could lose to, like, the Bears. I don't know. They could lose to the 49ers. That's a possibility. They could lose, like, to the Chiefs. I don't know. But I have them at number 2 at 12-4. So I hope that they can do this. Now the Seahawks I have at 13-3. Again, that week 8, or no, it might not be week 8. It might be like week 9 or something, or not week 9, like week 7 or something. I don't know. I think it's week 8. Uh, yeah, it's week 8. Anyway, they could win that week 8 game against the 49ers, because the Seahawks have their bye week in week 6. So yeah, that's week 8. They could lose against the 49ers and switch spots with them in the playoffs, but I have them winning in Seattle. I don't know. It could happen. So